His touch was quiet, but I felt the storm inside it. Marcus always appeared when the ground was already sliding out from under me. He rescued and ruined in the same breath a wealthy businessman with a smile full of secrets. I knew he played more than one game, yet when his fingers stopped on my wrist, I was suddenly afraid not of his lies, but of how much I wanted to find out what would happen next. I was 24 and running on espresso and apologies, weaving through the Friday crush at the ledge, a glass rooftop that made Chicago look clean enough to drink. I kept trays steady, smile practiced, dreams folded small so they wouldn't wrinkle the uniform. Ryan said he'd swing by after his shift. He liked how the host stand lights gilded his cheekbones, how the privates, cool guys in navy blazers, looked at him like a dare. We were solid, my friends said, which is what you call a building before you hear the crack. At 10:17, I rounded a corner with 4 martinis and saw him in a corner booth near the glass. Not waiting, leaned in, laughing quietly. His fingers traced the collarbone of a man in a charcoal suit whose ring caught the pendant lights. Their heads tilted. I didn't need the kiss to land to know it had been landing for a while. I kept walking. The tray floated like a halo above someone better than me. A stiletto's heel clipped mine, the Martine. His broke rank ice slid across marble. A navy blazer hissed, "Are you kidding me?" Gin climbed his sleeves like it wanted to be free. I apologized until the word lost edges. Tina, my manager, appeared with a smile managers practice in mirrors. Back room, now. It smelled like lemons and ambition. "Third spill this month," she said. "You're kind, Iv. You're quick, but we can't keep comping suits because your head's in a poem." My head, inconveniently, was a poem. It rhymed rent with panic. "You can finish tonight." She softened, and then take a break, indefinitely chiseled something off my chest. My phone buzzadrant reminder, confetti animation for a bill. I pictured Ryan's hand still mapping a stranger's collarbone. I nodded like it was a favor. I finished the shift. I didn't look at the corner booth. At midnight, the last elevator carried the last apology to street level. I walked into wind that felt newly personal. The river below was a slick, moving mirror even it didn't want to hold me. Ryan texted, "Where are you?" A photo followed, his tilted grin, the suit's shoulder in frame like a solved problem. I wrote, "We're done." Send. 3 dots arrived, then vanished. The dots felt like a heart monitor deciding. In my uptown studio, the hallway flickered like a bad memory. I put my uniform on the chair the way you put a body down gently, pretending you'll wake it later. I lay on the floor and watched the ceiling crack like a road map. Every line led to a place where I didn't belong. A different number lit my phone. Tina, the owner, saw the incident. "He wants to keep the brand elevated. We're letting you go immediately. Last check Tuesday." I typed elevated is a funny word for a bar that drops people. Didn't send it. Wrote thank you instead. Good boys lose quietly. Sleep came in clicks between the radiator's sighs. At 5:40 a paper flapped against my door. Final notice. The loan company wanted more of my future than I had. The envelope's plastic windows smiled without humor. Morning at least was honest. I showered until the water ran the temperature of decisions and put on the black shirt that made my eyes look like it had a purpose. I needed air that didn't remember me. Downtown wore a stainless, steel glare. I walked toward it because there was nowhere else to go. On Michigan, traffic hissed like someone keeping a secret. I checked my backpack for the red leather notebook where I hid the poems I never showed anyone. It wasn't there. My stomach did the elevator drop. I retraced the last block, eyes sweeping curb and gutter, as if my words could glint. They didn't. I stood at the crosswalk and let the white man walk become the red hand stop. Somewhere a black SUV idled. A shape behind tinted glass angled my way, then slid off into traffic. I watched it go without a reason, just the sense that the night had kept something of mine. The city never drops what it decides to hold. By noon I'd run out of money, tears, and explanations. I went home and spread the bills like a game I didn't know the rules to. I told myself I'd start over new job, clean calendar, no boys who grin into other people's rings. My phone stayed dark, as if resting after all the bad news. I slept again, a thin nap that broke easily. When I woke, the room was the color of unasked questions. I stared at the ceiling and understood the thing I had not wanted. In a single night I had been edited down. The city, the bar, Ryan's practiced laugh-thee had circled a sentence, crossed it out, and written smaller. I made coffee I couldn't taste and opened the window. A delivery truck beeped. Someone laughed 6 floors down like they were winning at something I couldn't play. I listed the facts out loud. You lost the job. You ended the relationship. You owe more than you have. You are still here. The last line was the only one that sounded like oxygen. I pressed my palm to my ribs as if I could hold myself together by hand. The skin there felt warm, alive in spite of me. I promised quietly that I would not let the night decide who I was, and doubted whether promises made to empty rooms had jurisdiction. I didn't know it yet, but somewhere in that edited space a stranger had picked up what ID dropped and read enough to learn my name. The worst night of my life was already drafting its reply. Morning punished me for everything ID tried to outrun. I filled out online applications with the urgency of someone bailing water with a teacup. Hotel front desk, temp agency, a gym that wanted salespeople who could sell gravity. By noon my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. If in Carter, the voice came warm and practiced. "This is Marcus Whitlow. I believe I have something of yours." Even I knew Whitlow Real Estate, venture investments, headlines that make you think money has a conscience.
What would that be?
A red notebook with a spine that has lived a life. You left it near the ledge last night. One of my drivers spotted it by the curb. I read a few lines to find a name. I hope that's not a felony. Heat rose in my neck. Those were my lines. My weather, it's mine. At Black Dog on Wabash in 20. Come by. I'll trade you coffee for poetry. He didn't ask, he scheduled. I told myself I could say no, and found my feet already in my shoes. Black Dog kept pastries like artifacts. Marcus sat at the window. He stood when I approached. "Ivin," he said, like we were picking up a conversation from a decade ago. He handed me the notebook. "You write like you've been eavesdropping on your own heart." I laughed because I didn't know where to put the compliment. "Thanks for finding it." "No," he said. "Thank you for losing it where I could." We sat. The coffee tasted like someone convinced a cloud to be useful. Marcus asked about my night, and I told him more than I meant to. How the tray became weather, how the job went past tense, how the rent notice smiled without teeth. He listened not to fix, but to memorize. "I run a private event space on Kinsey," he said at last. "Galleries, charity things, launches that pretend to be art. I need someone with composure and eyes. You have both. It's a bridge. Interested." It felt like a door opening onto ground. "Yes," I said too quickly. "Tonight, 8, black shirt, no logos. Tell the doorman you're my guest, my guest." The words loosened something in me that had been knotted since the rooftop. When I stood to go, Marcus touched my elbow with 2 fingers, a careful voltage. "I'm sorry about the boy," he added. "People who love reflections rarely have room left for the person inside them." On Kinsey, night arrived in long cars. I found Marcus near a bar of right angles. He handed me an earpiece and a schedule. "You'll float," he said. "Make sure donors feel seen. When they ask where the money goes, say where it should." He worked the room like a conductor. At one point he passed behind me, his hand resting a second on my ribs. Around 10, a woman in silver told me I had good posture for bad news. Marcus appeared, deflected her flirtation, and steered me into a quiet hallway where the light turned kind. "You're a quick study," he said. "How are you doing? Better than this morning. You look like someone worth betting on." He pressed an envelope into my hand. "Advance, first week. No one bridges on empty pockets." "Marcus, I can't you can," he said. "Pay me back with punctuality." I tucked the envelope away like it might evaporate. "Good," he said. "Walk the senator's wife to her car, and tell her she changed the evening." Outside, the cold bit enough to feel real. She beamed. When I returned, Marcus was speaking to a man whose hand rested proprietary on his shoulder. The hand stayed too long. Marcus met my eyes for a fraction, the smallest apology, then introduced us. "Ivin, this is Nathan, old friend." Nathan's smile was currency. "So you're the poet. Trying to be useful," I said. "Marcus has a soft spot for talent," Nathan said, squeezing that shoulder, and other soft spots. Marcus laughed it off. The laugh said later. Nathan kissed the air near Marcus' temple and left a promise there. I told myself it was nothing. I had learned to write explanations as quick as poems. We closed near midnight. Music stepped down. Marcus asked if I wanted a ride. The Siouxve idled at the curb. Inside, the city smudged by. Marcus sat angled toward me, not touching, making room for the possibility. "You were steady," he said. "I like steady. I needed tonight," I said. He nodded at my pocket where the envelope warmed. "That wasn't charity, logistics." When the SUV eased in front of my building, he leaned closer, his breath a small permission near my cheek. "Dinner at my place tomorrow, 7. Wear the shirt that makes your eyes dangerous. What if I don't know which one that is? I do." His hand rose, hovered, then settled lightly on my jaw, just a pause, punctuation that chose tenderness. Heat stitched through me in quiet threads. He pulled back before the gesture became declaration. "Good night, good night." Upstairs I counted the bills because gratitude needs numbers. It was more than a week's pay and less than what he could lose between couch cushions. On top lay my notebook with a slim black bookmark. I opened to the marked page and found new ink in neat handwriting. "You're not a waiter, you're a witness." Don't waste that. Flattery is a ladder. I climbed 3 rungs before I asked who was holding it. My phone buzzed. "Ryan, I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I stared until the letters turned decorative. Then I powered the phone down, slid the envelope into the drawer, and told the ceiling I would be careful. I meant it then. I meant every word, the way people in movies do right before the twist. The Kinsey loft glowed like it knew its own worth. Marcus opened the door before I could knock, black shirt unbuttoned just enough to make restraint look intentional. The air smelled of cedar and a wine I couldn't name. "You found the shirt," he said, eyes catching mine long enough to pin me. "Dangerous," I laughed too quickly. "You gave me the homework." Dinner was takeout disguised as art. Hand rolled sushi on matte plates, a bottle older than I was. We sat across a table built for negotiations. Marcus poured wine like he was offering a secret. "To unexpected finds," he said. I raised the glass. "To people who return notebooks." He studied me as I drank, a slow appraisal that felt like a draft of something had already planned. "Your words carry heat," he said. "You write as if you've survived a fire, maybe am still in it. That's the best time to write." Conversation slid easily. His start in real estate, the first building he bought before 30, the art shows he funded because beauty was profitable in the right light. He asked about my parents, my first poem, the job I'd lost. Each question felt like a soft excavation. I told myself I was only enjoying the attention, but when he reached across the table and brushed a stray grain of rice from my sleeve, the small gesture flared like static. "Even," he said quietly, "you don't shrink from silence. Most people do." "Silence listens back," I said, surprising myself. He smiled, slow and certain. "Exactly." After dinner he gave me a tour. Brick walls washed in gallery light, sculptures that looked like paused movement. He stopped by a window where the skyline cut itself into the night. "Chicago pretends to be steel," he said. "It's really glass, fragile if you know where to tap." His shoulder grazed mine as we stood there. Not a push, just a line drawn in temperature. My pulse climbed the inside of my throat. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes." It came out like a confession. He turned inches away. "I don't rush," he murmured, "but I don't lie either. I want to know you." The city below blurred into static light. He lifted a hand, slow enough for me to lean back if I wanted. I didn't. His fingers stopped at my jaw, thumb tracing the edge like a thought he might or might not finish. The warmth of his palm was an argument against every caution I'd ever learned. I closed my eyes. His breath brushed my cheek near enough to write a heartbeat and paused. "Not tonight," he said softly, voice low enough to belong only to the space between us. "I'd rather build than rush." When he stepped back, the air felt colder. Somehow I wanted the distance and hated it at once. He walked me to the door, hand at the small of my back, a touch that lingered after it left. "Tomorrow," he said, "the gallery event, you'll help me, and maybe you'll read me something from that notebook." I nodded, throat tight. Outside, winter snapped at my coat, but the warmth on my skin refused to fade. On the train home, my phone lit with a message from Marcus. "You carry storms beautifully." I stared until the words blurred, until the rhythm of the tracks matched the pulse I couldn't slow. The Superior Street Gallery smelled like money pretending to be paint. I arrived early, black shirt, careful smile, earpiece warm. Marcus drifted through the room like a rumor you wanted to believe. His fingers brushed my shoulder, a promise that kept humming. "Stay near the silent auction," he said. "If anyone looks confused, rescue them. I rescued a dozen. Marcus' voice threaded the room, gracious, amused, never hurried. I translated his charm into water, directions, pens aligned with pledge cards. Near 9, Nathan appeared, same immaculate smile, same palm on Marcus' shoulder. Evening, poet, he said. Still taking notes, always, he leaned close. Marcus is a constellation. People make wishes on what they think they see. His gaze flicked to my chest and back. Be careful with wishes. Marcus waved me over. Walk Delgado to the murals, he said. His glance added, later. When I looped back, Marcus was gone. Nathan too. The earpiece crackled. 10-minute pause before the pledge. Logistics tugged me toward the rear corridor, a strip of quiet behind the applause. Halfway down, voices. Nathan, you can't just disappear. Marcus, I'm not disappearing. I'm delegating. I should've turned. Instead, I drifted closer, the way you do when a door is almost closed. Is he the new project? Nathan asked. Paper rustled, the poet with the careful eyes. Daunt, Marcus said. What? Name the pattern. You collect hurricanes in coffee cups and call it mentorship. Silence. Then Marcus hescoed, and I've been good to you, to me. You don't do to. You do through. They resolved at the corridor's end. Nathan's hand slid to Marcus' waist, not gently. Marcus didn't move. Heat climbed my face. I backed up, bumped a frame on a cart. The thud announced me. Silence snapped. In Marcus' voice already smoothed. We were just delegating, I said. Nathan smiled. There it is. The moment the wish meets the night sky. I looked at Marcus. Do I have the wrong room or the wrong story? His hand hovered. This is complicated. It's simple, Nathan said. He saves strays and names them after their potential. Enough, Marcus said. He switched into the register that opens wallets. I asked you to help because I trust you. That hasn't changed, but am not the only one you asked, I said. He breathed out. I don't do exclusive. You didn't have to promise, I said. You let me hear one. The earpiece chimed 5 minutes to pledge. I can run the pledge, I said. Then done. You're overreacting, Marcus said. Maybe, or maybe finally reacting. Nathan's hand fell. Hell orbit back, he murmured. They all circle the gravity. I walked into the light. The pledge ran like choreography. When Marcus spoke, the room heated to his voice. He lifted his eyes, paused before applause, and owned the silence. I thought of his thumb at my jaw and felt it flip to static. After he found me, come, he said, pulling me into the side stairwell where concrete makes things honest. I should framed it differently, he said. Nathan is history that behaves like weather. I don't do ownership. I do care, and I do scars, I said. I'm out of space. His thumb brushed my sleeve, stopping at my wrist. I like you, he said. That isn't a performance. I like me, too, I said. When not a role, he swallowed. Dinner tomorrow. No guests. Real answers. Real answers tonight would help. He nodded. Tomorrow, then, I signed out. Outside, Superior Street was a river of cabs. My phone buzzed. A photo from an unknown number. Marcus at a hotel bar 2 weeks ago. A different boy pressed into his side. The same black bookmark peeking from his pocket. Caption, he likes poets. I saved the photo, not as proof, but as punctuation. I turned my collar up and walked until the city stopped reflecting him back at me. The wind carried nothing back. Sleep splintered. Morning pushed through the blinds like a cross exam. The photo in my messages burned a hole in every thought. Marcus, another boy, the same black bookmark in his pocket like a calling card. A notice waited under my door. Final, stamped with the boredom of bureaucracy. 12 days to stop being someone the building wanted to forget. I made coffee that tasted like decisions and took a 1-day temp job scanning contracts in a loop office that smelled like warm toner. It wasn't hope, but it paid enough to think about hope. At noon my phone pinged, come tonight if you want the truth. An address followed, Marcus Lake, front building. I told myself I wouldn't go at 5:40. I was on the red line anyway, held together by a black shirt. He opened barefoot, sleeves rolled. You came, he said, voice low enough to make the room believe him. I came for truth, then look. He opened his phone and swiped through photos. Charity nights, hands on shoulders, smiles arranged for flash. Nathan, others, youthful faces that looked like auditions. History, Marcus said, not proud. I don't do exclusive. I do honest. I should have said it before I let my thumb memorize your jaw. A line in me wanted to crack. Another wanted to rest, and the hotel bar ended, he said, when I noticed I was thinking about your sentences while he talked about his reflection. He cooked while he talked, olive oil whispering in a pan. The soup tasted like a childhood that never got bruised. You can't keep people as options, I said. I know. Options were my armor. I'm trying to learn another way. He wiped the counter, editing a mistake. I asked you here because I don't want you to be a category. I want. He winced at the risk a chance. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. If you're with him, check your building's door camera. The link showed a black SUV idling by my stoop. A man placed an envelope and looked straight into the lens like a signature. I have to go. I'll drive, he said. We rode without music, the city blurring by. The envelope held the gallery stairwell still. My face turned toward Marcus, plus a hotel photo and a note in block print. New hires move fast. So does news. No signature, just performance. Nathan, I asked. Maybe, Marcus said. Or someone who likes power without witnesses. A's. Delaney cracked her door. All right, honey. It will be, Marcus answered, and she believed him, which irritated and calmed me. Inside my studio he crossed the space like measuring where the past would fit. He picked up my red notebook, put it down as if it might start talking. I keep wanting to kiss you, he said, and keep deciding to deserve it first. You're not a museum, I said. You can touch the art. He stepped close and rested his hand at my ribs, breath near my cheek. His mouth found the corner of mine and stopped suggestion. I felt warmth through his shirt where our chests almost met. Tomorrow, he whispered, let me make it safe. For who? For you. He left practical affection. Locksmith scheduled back. Door hinge noted. Intimacy as infrastructure. After he left, I watched the SUV clip again, and against judgment called Ryan. I'm sorry, he said when I finished, for teaching you suspicion. Take care of yourself, I said, and meant it without making space for him. Morning arrived with the promised knock. Caleb, tool bag, humming, replaced the locks and told me the chain had been decorative. I cycled each bolt until the clicks sounded like progress. The temp agency offered 3 more days. Events Whitlow messaged, stay home tonight, ill-handle donors, protected his cousin too sidelined. I typed, not a secret. He replied, we pick the battlefield that favors us. A's. Delaney brought muffins and information. A man asked about you, she said, not the gentleman from last night. Older, cologne doing too much. She peered past me and left. At 9 p.m., Marcus texted, window. His SUV idled under the streetlight like a patient animal. Ride, he called softly. Where? A place without cameras. We drove north to the lake where houses pretend at tasteful wind. He parked, turned toward me. I confronted Nathan, he said. He denies the envelope. He prefers applause to shadows, which means someone else wants to scare you for knowing me. Why me at all? People don't threaten furniture, he said. They threaten whoever might move it. He slid a small box from under his seat. Inside, a key card marked Whitlow and a code on a folded note. If you ever need out, he said. Side entrance. No desk. I have a home. You have 12 days, he said gently. Not purchase, exit strategy. He put his hand on the console. I covered it. He leaned in. This time he didn't stop. His mouth was careful and warm, more vow than victory. When we parted, he laughed under his breath. Headlights slid behind us. A sedan idled, then pulled alongside. Driver not looking over. Posture practice, the same as the video. The car lingered, then rolled away slow. New threat, Marcus said, jaw tight. Tomorrow I go on a fence, and me. You go to work, you breathe, you write. You let me be useful without making you smaller. Back at my curb, he kissed my knuckles. I climbed the stairs with a key card and a hinge that no longer stuck. Sleep came on a latch. In the half-dream, the city turned to glass eye, tapped it lightly and watched a crack race outward, drawing a map that didn't shatter, only changed. The night felt rigged, but for once the odds leaned my way, a little M. By noon next day the temp office blurred into paper. I kept thinking of the sedan idling like a question. At 3, Marcus texted, tonight, 8, wear calm. We set the record, the address, the Ardell, a hotel with mirrors that weren't watching. I told myself I was going for closure. I wore the black shirt anyway. The Ardell lobby ran on perfume and whispers. Marcus waited beside a column. You came, he said. I'm starting to hate that line. Then let's trade it for something useful. He led me through back halls that smelled like money with fruit names. A private room opened on a window where the city glittered like a bribe. At the table, Nathan, a woman in legal black, and the boy from the hotel photo. An intervention, I asked. A disinfectant, Marcus said. He nodded to the lawyer. We're here because rumors breed in small rooms. I prefer fences. Nathan smiled like glass. You prefer control, the lawyer set her pen down. Gentlemen, I represent A. Whitlow's interests. Anonymous messages have crossed into harassment and defamation. We can involve police, but I'd rather we part as adults. The boy folded his arms. He told me I was special. Marcus winced. You were. I was also a coward who called my fear of staying honesty. I'm done with that. Are you? I asked. Yes, he said. If I keep multiplying options, I'll die surrounded by choices, and no one will turn the last light off. Nathan rolled his eyes. Poetry from the patron. You sent the envelope, I said. He smiled. Prove it. Marcus slid a folder across the table. Camera stills. Plate number. The lawyer added a printed email. Nathan's smile shrank. He stood. So, you'll ban me from rooms built with my introductions. I'll ban you from me, Marcus said. Nathan looked at me. You'll tire of this, he said, of his need to save while being saved. Leave, Marcus said. Nathan whispered in his ear and exited like the floor owed him. The boy from the photo stayed. Do you mean the thing you said? Yes, Marcus answered. I am sorry, and I am done. We left through a humming corridor. In the elevator, Marcus exhaled a small laugh. I hate endings, he said, but I love clean ones. The doors slid onto the garage. A sedan pulled in, blocking us. The window lowered. The man inside wore a suit that wanted to be obeyed. A. Whitlow, he said, a word. Marcus stepped forward. You are a collector, the man said. He motioned to the passenger seat. On it lay my red notebook. Heat rose. How did you leave trails when you rush? He said. Consider this a courtesy. A. Whitlow's enterprises touch more hands than you realize. Some prefer their silence kept paid. Is that a threat? I asked. It's a weather report. Storms if you keep trying to make this pure. He slid the notebook onto the pavement, squeaked the tires, and vanished. I crouched, picked it up. When I stood, Marcus was watching like a surgeon reading a monitor. Tell me the part you haven't told me, I said. Now he pressed his lips together, then let something go. The Black Sea of the first night, mine. I sent a driver back when I realized a kid in a black shirt had dropped his life outside a bar. I wanted an excuse to meet you that wasn't predatory. I told myself the notebook made it faded. A hallway in my chest buckled. You made a rest. You look like an accident. I made an entrance, he said. I thought I could stand outside the pattern and still use it for good. That's the lie I'm finished with. So you orchestrated the meet, cute, and called it destiny, and now someone in a suit tells us your world buys silence. My world tries, he said. I am trying not to. Try with me, I said. No choreography, no auditions. Choose me, and choose the mess that comes with it. The garage felt like a stage that remembered it was a hospital. Marcus stepped closer. I choose you, he said, not as a project, as a person who can say no to me and still be invited in. Say it again, I said. He did. We kissed in the cold, careful and sure, not a victory so much as a contract in breath. When we broke, I rested my forehead against his. He touched the notebook. Read me something that isn't about loss. I don't have that yet. Then write it, he said. I'll deserve it. We drove to my building with the notebook on my lap. Before I got out, he said, there will be more weather. People who hate a closed door will try to open it with noise. I can handle noise, I said. I can't handle being choreography. Then we're done dancing for them. Upstairs, I locked the new locks and leaned against the door. My phone buzzed a text from a blocked number. Mirrors crack, bills daunt. It should have scared me. Instead, it clarified the next fight. I opened to a fresh page and wrote the first line that felt like a handhold. I will not be a rumor in a life I'm living mourning, seeped in through the blinds like a quiet verdict. The city outside kept its promise-shorns, footsteps, the hum of a life that didn't wait for anyone's clarity. My phone lay face down, silent but heavy with possibilities. Marcus texted only once, coffee later, or space. I typed space, then deleted it. I typed coffee, then deleted that too. Some decisions taste better unspoken. I walked to the lake. Ice edged the water like a held breath. In my pocket, the red notebook warmed my palm. I thought of the stranger in the sedan, of Nathan's half-smile, of the suit that smelled of quiet threats. Any of them could still be watching, maybe all of them were. Marcus might fight for us or tire of the noise. I might stay or vanish before the next knock. The story didn't need to finish for it to matter. Wind off the water pressed cold against my ribs, a reminder that I was still here, unclaimed. I opened the notebook and wrote one line, dark and certain. I am not a guest in my own life. The lake swallowed the words in its reflection,